Your car. Well, it's not just a car anymore, is it? It's becoming this incredibly complex digital brain on wheels. So in this briefing, we're going to unpack the future of how we actually interact with that brain, what we call the human-machine interface, or HMI. We're going to explore the big strategic questions that designers and planners, people like you, need to be asking as we build the next generation of cars. I wanted to start with this quote from Bruce Lee, because honestly, it just nails the core problem we're all facing. For so long, the auto industry has been all about that daily increase. More features, bigger screens, more buttons, more options. But what we're realizing is that real progress, the elegant solution, is all about the daily decrease. It's about hacking away at all the noise to get to what's truly essential. Map. We're going to start with what I'm calling the HMI paradox. Then we'll get into redefining the interface itself. After that, we'll talk about vehicle intelligence, new ecosystems, and the huge importance of designing for trust and emotion. And we'll wrap it all up with the end goal, achieving the ultimate simplicity. Okay, first up, the current HMI paradox. So why is it that today's cars are stuffed with amazing tech, but so often they just leave us feeling confused or even frustrated? That's the paradox we need to deconstruct. It really boils down to three things. First, there's this because we can mentality. We add tech just because it's possible, not because anyone actually asked for it. Second is this culture of optionality. We're burying users in choices. The perfect example is the off button. Think about it. If a feature is so great, why do you need a button to turn it off? That button is basically the designers admitting they're not totally confident in their own feature. And finally, you've got the erosion of trust. Every time you see that acquiring signal message, your faith in the whole system just takes a little hit. So, if that's the problem, where do we even start to look for answers? Well, it begins with totally redefining the core interface. And that means we have to get beyond this obsession with bigger and bigger screens. You can really see the shift in thinking here. We're moving away from these giant distracting slabs of glass, and instead there's this pull towards smart, physical controls for the things you use all the time, like volume or climate. They just feel more premium, and frankly, they're safer. We're also shifting away from pure visual overload towards things you can feel and hear, haptics and audio that let you keep your eyes on the road. And maybe the coolest part? Contextual controls that literally reveal themselves. They're hidden in the trim and only light up when you actually need them. And this shift leads to a pretty radical question. As we rethink the whole dashboard, what if the heads-up display, the HUD, what if that became the only screen for the driver? I know it sounds crazy, but imagine that level of focus. It's a massive simplification, but it's an idea that's definitely worth exploring. And there's a bunch of other really cool display ideas bubbling up. You've got transparent mode, which uses cameras to make things like the A-pillars basically disappear, or AR overlays that could project navigation or points of interest right onto your windows. Though, that could also mean AR ads, which is a whole other can of worms. We're also finding that a bigger screen right in front of the driver might actually cut down on motion sickness. And of course, the mobile-first approach, letting you set everything up on your phone before you even get in the car. Because let's be honest, it's usually easier. All right, next topic. This is a huge one. We're moving away from a world of manual inputs and toward a car that's a truly intelligent partner. The goal here is a thoughtful co-pilot, one that kind of knows what you need before you even do. And the real breakthrough is something called intent-based interaction. Right now, voice commands are super literal. You have to say the exact right thing. But in the future, you won't have to rattle off a full street address. You could just say, "Find the kids," and the car, knowing your daily routine, will just know you mean navigate to their school. It gets the goal, not just the command. That's when things start to feel magical. You can see this evolution happening everywhere in the car. We started with purely manual settings. Then we got personal profiles, which was a nice step up. But the next leap is predictive machine learning. The car won't just remember your settings, it'll learn your habits. It might notice you always keep a bigger following distance in traffic and automatically adjust your adaptive cruise control for you without you ever having to touch a thing. So as this intelligence gets more, present, you have to start asking some fun sci-fi questions. Like, are we going to have holographic assistants in our cars? And if so, what's its personality? Is it some generic tech character, or is it your car's own unique mascot? It seems like a gimmick, but it's actually a really serious design question about how we want to interact with this new intelligence. Now, let's zoom out a bit. all this intelligence isn't just happening in a vacuum. It's turning the car into a true software platform. And that's not just changing the driving experience. It's creating entirely new business models and ecosystems around the car. Those unused features, you still paid for them. So here's a totally different idea for how this could work. What if, after a year, the car company just remotely turned off the features you never touched and sent you a check? I mean, how incredible would that be? It would totally flip the script on ownership and build some serious brand loyalty. And that's just the start. I mean, cars are parked most of the time, right? So they can become part of your home, feeding power back to your house. We're going to see more pay-as-you-go features where you can turn things on just for a road trip. The whole design process will shift towards repair and reuse. Even your tires are becoming smart data platforms, feeding back real-time info on road grip. That's a data connection that could be way more important than any streaming app. So we've got the tech, we've got the business models, but none of it works without the human element. This next part is all about designing for the fuzzy stuff, trust and emotion. It's about moving beyond just pure function. I think this is the best way to explain the shift. We're all familiar with drive roads, right? Sport, eco, comfort. They change the car's physics. But the future is about drive moods. These are designed to change the driver's experience. Can the car use light and sound to make you feel more alert? Or can it create a calm, meditative space for your commute home after a stressful day? That's a whole different level of design. And to get there, we have to be totally human-centered. That means using sensors to understand if a driver is tired or stressed. It means being transparent about what the car is doing and why, so people trust it. And it means we have got to stop using confusing marketing jargon. No more active, dynamic, smart, whatever. Just tell people what it does in plain language that works everywhere in the world. And so, after looking at all this new tech and all these new possibilities, we arrive here at our final and maybe most critical point. The number one strategic goal for everyone in this space has to be simplicity. Let's just be really, really clear on this. Competing over who has the biggest screen, that is completely antiquated thinking. It's a race to a place nobody wants to be. True innovation, and honestly true luxury, is going to come from somewhere else entirely. In fact, those gigantic passenger screens might soon start to feel wasteful, not premium.
And what this all points to is that the biggest hurdle, it's often internal. It's organizational. Companies have to stop just copying each other, which just creates a sea of sameness. You have to get the HMI, UX, and design teams working together as one unit. If they're in silos, the product will always feel broken. It's about constantly learning from how real people use your stuff and creating a shared language for what an actual experience is, not just a checklist of features. Which brings us to one last thought to leave you with. As these cars get truly, deeply intelligent, as they learn our habits, anticipate our needs, and curate our moods, could it be that the greatest luxury of all is the sheer absence of the need to interact? A future where the technology is so seamless, so perfectly in sync with you, that it just disappears, and you're left to just enjoy the journey. Something to think about.